Hello everyone, it's Amy Rich with amyrich.net. I have been so excited to share this card with you today featuring the Celebration Tidings bundle, which includes these two products right here, the dies and the stamps. But also, I just wanted to talk quickly about the PLAID Tidings suite. So the PLAID Tidings suite is super simple. It's got the Celebration Tidings stamp set, the Celebration Labels dies, the PLAID Tidings Designer Series paper, and of course it's got lots of different patterns and colors, and then this beautiful embroidered ribbon. So all four of these items come together in the PLAID Tidings suite, and if you purchase the whole suite together, it is just $65.25. It's a great deal. So today we're actually not going to use the ribbon, but we're going to use the other products in the suite. So what I've already done, as you can see, is I have taken second largest die, and I've cut out a piece of the Designer Series paper. I also wanted to show you that I cut out half of another one. So I put the paper in up to these little markers in the center of the die, and I ran it through to get a half. So I wanted to let you know that I had done that in advance. And now I'm going to share with you the project that we're going to make. You can see why I've been excited to share this, and it's really not hard to make. So I'm going to get started so that you can see how easily you can duplicate this card. We are going to start with a piece of Pretty Peacock cardstock that measures 4 3/4 by 11. And I do want to tell you that when you finish this card, it is not going to fit in a standard size envelope. So you'll have to create your own envelope, which I would do personally with the envelope punch board that we used to carry in our Stampin' Up! Catalog. We're going to take that piece of 4 3/4 by 11 inch cardstock, put it in at 5 1/2, and then we're going to score that in half. And then we're going to fold that just like that. Piece of cake. So far, so good. Okay, then we are going to take our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we are going to die cut this paper that we just folded. We will start with plate number 1 because we're using the die cutting template here. So plate number 1, plate number 2, and 2 plate 3s. So plate number 1, plate number 2, 1 plate 3, and this is obviously my cutting plate. And then we put our cardstock in. Then we're going to use the largest of the dies in the Celebration dies, and I'm going to stick that onto my cardstock, but I'm going to make sure to go off the edge so that we keep this fold intact. And then I'm going to put these points against that fold, and that's where it's going to cut. And I'm going to use a Post-it just to keep that where I want it to be when I put my other cutting plate on top. Then we'll just run that through. And then what we get is a shaped card that comes out like this. So remember, it's very important to keep that fold out of the cutting area so that it's a card that opens. Then we'll bring our trimmer back in, and I'm going to lay my card up here and see where these divots are. I'm going to use that to line up in my cutting groove, and then I'm actually going to score it with my scoring blade so that it is scored, not really down the middle because we cut so much off over here, but down what would have been the middle of that die. Then we'll take our bone folder. We're going to fold this back. And now we've created our fun Z fold, okay? This is where our Plaid Tidings Designer Series paper comes in. We're going to take this piece right here and we're going to adhere that to the center of our card. And notice when I do that, some of it sticks over into the fold. So now we're going to flip that and then just trim that off so that it's out of the way. So now it closes just like we want it to normally, okay? I am going to use my bone folder on this side too, so it stays better. And then we're going to take this other half of a die that we cut out earlier, or that I cut out earlier, and then I'm going to stick that on here, just on that other half, so that it looks like, you know, it continues, except the plaids aren't lined up. If I were more careful, I should have gotten those plaids lined up, I guess. All right, then we're going to go in with some of the dies again, and this time I cut them out in shimmery white cardstock, and I used the second largest, or the second smallest, I should say, die to do that, and I cut 2 of them out. So one is going to go in the middle, and we're going to line that up as best we can using our notches here as our guide, and the notches over here. So we've got that in the middle for a little sentiment or whatever you want to write in there. And then I'm going to set that aside for a minute and grab this other one, and we'll do some stamping and decorating. So I've got that piece. And then in advance, I have also mounted 2 of the stamps from the stamp set onto my clear block. So what I did was I mounted the pumpkins and then this one, and you can use them all different ways, but I think it's cool to use them together. So I spaced them out a little bit, as hopefully you can see in the camera. And then I'm going to take my Tuxedo Black Memento ink and get that all inked up. And then I'm going to stamp that onto my die. And then while we are stamping, I'm going to take the Just For You stamp and our pretty peacock ink. And then I'm going to fill in our sentiment right in the middle, like that. Now let's do a little bit of coloring. I'm going to take my dark pumpkin pie Stampin' Blend and just kind of highlight some areas of these pumpkins. And then we'll go back with the light Stampin' Blend and we'll just blend those colors. I love using Stampin' Blends to color, and I think they work really nicely on our shimmery white cardstock. Shimmery white is just a great cardstock for coloring, watercoloring of any kind, or like I said, the Stampin' Blends. Then I'm going to grab the shaded spruce, and note that there's not necessarily shaded spruce in the papers we're using, but I wanted to use some different colors of green as I'm coloring. So, oops, I want the skinny tip. So I grabbed shaded spruce because it's just another green to add some color in. Oops, I forgot the leaves on my pumpkins. Then we'll use a little granny apple green in here too. So like I said, I wanted to use a couple of different greens. So I'm just going to touch tiny little leaves to add just a little bit different color. And there are a few spots I want to go in with my light granny apple just to blend that a little bit. And finally, just a touch of crumb cake on the stems of those pumpkins. Okay, so now when I go to add it to my card, I'm just going to put adhesive on the left half of that piece, and I'm going to layer it exactly over the shimmery white that is underneath. Slick. The last little accessory I'm going to bring in are these great sequins, and they don't have any holes in them, which I love. They're called Sequins for Everything on page 66 in the August to December mini catalog. So I'm going to grab my Tombow liquid glue, and I'm just going to put a couple of dots of glue on my project, and that is where, 3 to be exact, that is where my sequins will go. So now I'm going to carefully open this. It would be disastrous if I spilled these. And they're tiny, but I'm going to get those right on those spots. And I think they're pretty much a pumpkin pie color, so it works out perfect for my project. Just adds a little something extra to finish off that fun Z-fold card. Thank you for joining me today as I used the Plaid Tidings Suite to create this super fun fold card. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy making some of your own.